Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Carnage Reviews. My name is Eric. Today, we're looking at the exploitation film known as Frankenhooker. Frankenhooker is loosely, and I mean loosely, based on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I'll be joined by friend and fellow YouTuber Colin from the Horrific Podcast channel. If you're unfamiliar with their channel, I will post a link in the description below and within this video. I highly recommend checking them out. They do a lot of good videos. They live stream quite often. They discuss horror gaming, horror movies, books, etc. And they also promote horror authors. Definitely check out their channel. Just a quick reminder to please consider subscribing to the channel. Just click that subscribe button along with the bell icon to be notified when I upload new content. Frankenhooker was written and directed by Frank Henenlotter. It stars James Lorenz, Patty Mullen, Charlotte Helmkamp, and Louise Lauder. Hello, everybody. Eric here at Carnage Reviews. I'm here joined by my friend Colin from the Horrific Podcast. And today
Greetings.
we're going to be talking. Hi, Colin. How's it going?
Ah, grand. Thanks for having me on board.
No problem. I'm happy to have you here, and thanks for helping me get all this set up too. Um, so yeah, we're going to be talking about Frankenhooker, a great exploitation film that is like a. If I could describe it, I would say it's like an edgier Weird Science. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, definitely. It's just like somebody's taken it and turned it up to 11.
Yeah, definitely. So, was this your first time watching this movie, or have you seen it
No, no,
before?
no. This is one of my old favorites. We've been planning to do this for a while, so it's been on the back burner, and it's
Yeah,
like I'm not reviewing. I'm waiting for Eric. I'm not reviewing it.
yeah, I know. But yeah, Frankenhooker. Um, so for those that don't know, this is a very loose, and I say really loose adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein about a guy who's a he's a what is he works for a power plant or is
He
he's
works
an
for a power
electrician?
plant. That was the thing.
Yeah.
He comes across as somebody who's in a blue collar worker job,
Hmm.
but he's not. I don't. He isn't somebody who would survive at the plant. He's too out there. His colleagues would have turfed him out. It's
Yeah.
like I can't work with this guy. He's just Jeffrey. Like he's just that sort of like he's off. He's off. You just look at him and you know he's not quite there, and he's maybe not
Yep.
safe to be around.
Yeah. I like when he's talking with his mother, who oh her his mother. She's been in other stuff I've seen. I know she has, but I can't think of what she's been in, but I know she's been in a bunch of stuff. When he's talking to her about like, oh, I'm losing my grip on reality and I'm getting antisocial, and she's like, oh, you want a sandwich? It's like it's like, oh gosh.
Yeah, brilliant.
But yeah, so anyway, he's an electrician, or no, he works for a power plant, and he is dabbling in what is it, it's like electrician
Bioelectrical engineering.
bioelectrical engineering. Yep. And it opens up with him at a birthday party with his fiancee Elizabeth, and she's showing off a lawnmower that he rigged up that could be controlled via remote control, and she stupidly stands in front of it as she's demonstrating the controller, and the lawnmower comes on and it kills her. And then he becomes so distraught that he decides he's going to try to bring her back to life with body parts, and he decides to use prostitutes for the body parts.
It's the way he rationalized it. Like he goes through the whole
Oh yeah, with the drill.
rationalized that led
Yeah.
him to picking prostitute. But you saw that scene coming anyway.
Hmm.
Like with the lawnmower, it was so telegraphed. Like it's like here's the intro, let's get it done. The fact that he's sitting, well, first of all, he has a girlfriend. This isn't the sort of guy that has a girlfriend.
I would think not. Yeah.
This is the sort of guy that has girlfriends chained to his radiators. That's the vibe he gives off, especially with the makeup. Like
Hmm.
this is one of the best makeup jobs. When he's looking haggard and the
Oh, his
bags under the
eyes.
eyes.
Yeah.
Like that is you can't do makeup like that today. There's
And
something about that look.
you can't even really like when you see this guy. Do you think like he doesn't seem like the type of guy that's even interested in sex? Like
Yeah,
he's looking
he's
at these
he's in his
girls.
own little world. He's
Yeah.
completely focused. Human contact would be anathema to him.
Hmm.
It's just that
I
sort
like
of thing.
this. I like the scene when he's like inspecting all the girls, and he's like pressing on him. He's like, and he puts the check mark on the girl's butt cheek. Did you notice too that? And this is my first time noticing this. So when he brings Elizabeth back to life and she escapes, and she brings that little short guy back to the hotel. Did you see that she has the check mark on her butt cheek?
I missed that.
Yeah, I did. That was my first time noticing. I'm like, holy crap, that's funny. That's so funny. The check mark is on her butt cheek because that was the body part of whatever hooker he decided to use for that.
Yeah,
It
I
was
think I would have liked the scene where he's like, we saw the check marks in each of them, so we knew who was going to end up where. But it worked
it was
brilliantly.
funny.
Yeah, he's what was it? Jeffrey said he's a part-time doctor. He's a doctor in his own time, even though he kicked him out of medical school 3 times at this point,
Hmm.
and just he stapled her stomach.
Oh yeah, and the girl's like, and she's like casual about it, and she's like, "You let him staple your stomach?" Like, yeah, we're gonna be married. It's like, okay, like that's the thing is everybody is like, even like the people that we could think are normal are not normal in Hen Lauder movies. Like every person has like some kind of weird quirkiness to them, you know.
Yeah, it's like just an alternative reality, and
Hmm.
that was a short scene leading up to the death, but there was a lot in it because we know exactly who Jeffrey is. We know that he's tolerated and almost normalized. That's
Hmm.
fine. The fact that he has a brain, like he just brings a portable lab to the in laws' house, and
It's
that's
funny too, like how that's normal, and they're just like, "Oh, you can pass the ketchup," you know, like they're not even like,
not even
and
nonplussed. Like, um,
and and why would they not question like where did he get this brain from? He had like a brain with him that he was putting an eyeball in. Like, why would they not question what this is? Whose brain is it? You know, what was that?
I don't know, but that's sort of that's the level of this movie. This is not.
Hmm.
This is pure fantasy,
Yeah,
and
you definitely can't take it seriously. You know, it's
no,
meant
no,
to be.
no. And if you're taking it seriously, there's something wrong with you. Like,
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. This is 100% fantasy. It's set in the real world, but it's not, and
like
it's
a
made
fever
very
dream.
clear from the start because as things progress, I think you kind of accept it.
Hmm. There's just no you just gonna like you're gonna have to shut your brain off and not think about like when he brought her back to life. Where did these clothes come from that she was wearing? And then she had those platform shoes.
Oh, they
Like
were
those
great.
those were just there. Those were
But they
just
were
there.
an ode to Boris Karloff.
Yep, the reference. Oh yeah, Boris Karloff reference.
Yeah, the big shoes that he wore. It was just that, and even when she steps down, even see her foot slipping out of it. That was funny. I
Hmm.
don't know if that was intentional or they were poorly fitting shoes, but the fact she goes to walk and her heel starts slipping out of the shoe, that it was just that. I actually thought that was deliberately done because there's a lot of detail in this movie. This
There
is
is, and you don't realize it either until like you watch it. Like they did. There is a lot of time and thought put into it.
yeah. I just wish they'd do that today. Like these are movies of a bygone era that people cared. um, the likes of Henenlotter, he because of his quirky style,
Mhm.
he could have. I don't know if he had been out today. I think he could have been Damien Leone. There's every
I can see
chance.
that.
The home rental market was a different beast back in the day. I'm sure you remember,
Yeah,
and that was
I
his
mean that's where
own.
that's
Sorry.
where his movies were. Oh, I'm sorry. That's where his movies were big for the home video market.
Hmm.
You know, of course
People
that's all
forget that
changed now.
that was a whole market. So
Yeah.
there was the cinema market. That was your big blockbusters.
Hmm.
After you got the odd medium budget, but the VHS, the home rental market, was its own thing. I wouldn't even equate it to streaming because streaming is just a dumping ground.
Yeah.
But you had to compete in the because first of all you had to get shops to pick up your tape because they weren't
Hmm.
for a rental tape. They were about $200 each or something. Your money. They weren't cheap. That what I mean. You bought them on. It wasn't like you went to Walmart or what and just bought them to take home. That was the next phase. But the home rental
Hmm.
market, these things were expensive to buy so you could rent them out. The licenses involved, and
Yep.
you had to pick right because a shop could sink or swim depending on what their movie selection was. You could have your
Yeah.
generic stuff, but it was the quirky things that people kept coming back for.
Yeah, and a lot of like Blockbuster. I know Blockbuster wouldn't even carry movies that didn't that if it wasn't an R rating, if it was like NC-17.
Mm.
Well, here in the States, they wouldn't carry they wouldn't carry the movie. So a lot of times they had to, you know, either be unrated or they'd have to, like I know, I guess I read a little bit, did a little bit of research. Frankenhooker, they had trouble with the MPAA, big surprise here. And I guess the one of the board members of the MPAA, they spoke with the secretary for the film, and he said to her, he said, "Congratulations, your film is the first film to be rated S." And she said, What does that mean? S for sex?" And he's like, "No, S for shit." That's what he said.
Uh,
They did not like the movie. But, and I guess also Henenlotter talked about how his parents, who are super conservative, they went to the screening of the movie and he was nervous about them being offended, but I guess they weren't offended. Like, that's the thing is I don't know how any person that watches his movies, like, I don't know how can you be really offended? Because you can't take them
no, it's all
serious, you know?
it's parody.
Yeah.
There's a little grain of truth in there, and that's
Mm.
what you need for parody. A little grain of truth, and then the rest could be fantastical.
Do you know, not to switch gears too much, but do you know what the budget was for Frankenhooker? It was
No, I didn't look it up.
$2.5 million. I'm
I could
surprised it was that
s
much.
I could see that though.
I mean,
Like,
because
this
I
is
guess back then you would
quality.
need
You
that kind
think
of
of the
budget.
locations, you think of the
Mhm,
number of extras, you think of the complex shots, like the nightclub.
mhm.
Like, it
Yeah,
looks like chaos, but if you uh, and that's the thing is when you're looking at things through a reviewer's eye, you don't see a movie the same way. You're looking for all these little bits, and the amount of
mhm.
detail that they go into with this is amazing.
Yeah,
Even
like,
the
what
skin hues, like, you think about the same with the prostitutes.
yeah.
And yes, there's cut scenes where they turn into mannequins. I get it. But when they put her together, when they put Elizabeth together again, they actually get the skin hues that matches. If you go shot for shot, you could actually tell which prostitute it came from. Like that's detail. And you don't
Yeah.
get that for cheap. You have to get the proper artist. You have to get somebody to spend the time. You have to put the man hours in.
Not
That's
to mention the acting, like, that actress that played, I mean, she did a good job, especially with, like, because she was basically playing multiple characters when you think about it, because she was saying lines from the other girl said,
yeah,
and,
in their sort of voice.
yeah. I mean, it was still her voice, but it had that
Mhm.
the same tone as the
Yeah.
girls, so
Yeah, so it's just, just taking their character, like in the brief moments of have them, you can tell like Candy and Rabbit and Baby and stuff, you can almost see the girls within her. I mean, you don't get that without putting effort
mhm,
and much time and
yeah.
it translates on the screen.
Is speaking of that, when you talked about the mannequins, when they switched the mannequins, that whole like the way violence is handled in this movie is so funny. Like, it's not this movie really isn't gory. I mean, when you look at it, it's not. I mean, it's violent, but it's not gory at all.
Yeah.
Like
There's
those when
not
they're
one drop of blood in
exploding.
the body parts.
Yeah, even when oh, I don't want to ruin one part because that'll ruin the ending. But
Mm.
like when someone gets beheaded, like there's no blood.
No,
It's crazy, and it made me think of a cartoon almost. It really is very cartoonish.
that's fine.
Yeah,
But that's one thing I push against myself is people that equate the horror genre just to the slasher, and it has to be about gore just to the max for the sake of it. If it fits with the narrative, crack on. But this is a comedy. It's pure comedy.
yeah.
It's ridiculousness. So you don't need the gore to get the
Mhm.
idea. I was quite happy that, in fact, even seeing the girl and the split camera, they're changing the mannequin before she explodes. Like, and you see that about four times. You're like, that works. I'm not suspending disbelief here. I'm just getting the ridiculousness of the movie, and you're meant to have a chuckle.
I love the scene when the girl exploded, her head spinning in the air and it hits Zorro in the head and knocks
Oh
him out.
yes, and the
It's
the, the sound, the just
Yep. Or what about the scene even more ridiculous, even to show how more ridiculous this movie can be, when Elizabeth escapes and she has that little fat guy, and then he explodes. I don't know what she does to him. I don't know if he's like, it's the
I
electricity
think it
that's
was the super crack. So obviously this is all happens at as Jeffrey, because I know we're bouncing forward, but this is it's just one of them movies that will make you do that. You'll go about this scene, that scene, because it's just. But when he was sitting planning out all of this, and when he comes to the conclusion that he needs the prostitutes, and then he meets with Zorro to get the party organized, and Zorro pulls out the little baggie out of his pocket. That's where he
Yeah,
has the idea of
the
that's how
super
I'm going to
crack.
take them out is with super crack. But how would you think? Like he tests it on the guinea pig,
And the
and the
guinea pig
guinea pig
explodes.
explodes, and he thinks that's a good idea
It's
because
gonna
they'll
be
just
it's gonna be
explode in the
messy.
right places.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But yeah, but when she like is having she's about to get with that guy and like he explodes too, and she's holding his severed head and he's like, "Oh, that was wonderful." It's like,
But you see the electricity and still charging through it, so it's
yeah,
the you know it's the he's made
must
a
be keeping
chemical
alive.
substance that actually uh transmits or what it's just one of the side effects of the super
Mhm.
crack that he made.
This movie's like it's like a combination of like Reanimator, Weird Science, and Frankenstein.
Yeah, and bit of Breaking Bad thrown in there as well because
Yeah, really.
just
Oh, it's
just for
funny.
fun, even
I
before
can't
Breaking Bad was
imagine.
a thing. That's actually one of my notes about the super crack. That was Breaking Bad before Breaking Bad came out. Wouldn't surprise me if they got
the
the idea from here.
the 100% potency, super drugs. I can't imagine a movie like this being made today, though. There's just no way.
I
I
couldn't do it.
can't. No, I just don't see it happening. But
Well,
with Frankenhooker, what do you think? What's your favorite scene
it
besides the
has
ones we've
to
already?
be the hotel room scene.
The hotel. Yeah.
The moment he changes his mind, no, I mean, we go through the whole thing. Like I said, he's measuring them, he's putting tick marks, and they think it's all some
Hmm.
sort of role play, not that he's sizing them up.
Yeah.
Um, and then he has this sort of, I can't do this is wrong. And then the bag opens. He goes to give them or take the money. He throws the bag at them. They take the money, and then they see the super crack. And oh my god, those squeals of
Oh yeah,
excitement.
the way they freak out,
Like the
like
squeals of
screaming, "Oh my
genuine excitement.
god!"
I still laugh.
And then they put on the music, and he's like, "Don't play the devil's music. It's the devil's music."
He's in a hotel room in a cheesy part of town, like real dodgy part of town, with 11 prostitutes, and he's worried about music. And he's sizing them all up to murder them. And he's worried about the music. Okay. That's you need to get your priorities sorted out, son.
I mean, it just shows how separated from reality he is.
Yeah,
Clearly, because he is.
he is the person, if he existed in real life, your skin would crawl being around him.
Hmm. And then when they died, when they all died, he was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll bring you guys back to life." He was like grabbing all the bodies and putting them in like a bag,
All the
and he had
body
like all
parts.
these. He and then like yeah, and then in the garage, he had like a pile of body parts that were clearly, definitely like mannequin looking, and it was just so funny
The
to see him.
boobs are the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when he's looking at the boobs. And what about when he takes the foot? He's like, "Oh, you got bunions," and he takes like a he's like scraping the bunion off the foot. It's like, jeez.
But that is you don't get comedy like that anymore.
Hmm.
Like this is
Yeah.
unique. You're
And that was
not
what that was made in what the 90s.
was it the 90s? I thought it was like
Yeah.
maybe
I
late 80s.
I thought so too because it had a very 80s
Very 80s.
feel.
Yeah.
It made me think of
1990.
1990. Okay, so
Yeah, 1990.
it more
Right on
likely
the
made in the 80s then.
hmm.
Yeah, that.
uh but yeah, this is a movie of its time.
Hmm. Very much so.
And
Yeah. Like you can watch it and you can see like the time period that it takes place in. You know what I mean? Like it's not. Some movies are like when you watch a movie, they're like they can come off as dated. This movie doesn't come off as dated. It more just comes off like a period
mhm.
piece. You know, like I just love what scene I really like too, the bath when they go in the bathroom when he meets Zorro for the first time. That
Oh
scene is
yeah, and they're all
so
like humping in one of the cubicles. So he's
yeah,
like,
that the door
yeah,
keeps opening
yeah,
up and
yeah.
closing, and like that one guy's in the background talking like just random nonsense. It's such a weird like there's just not movies like that anymore. Like it makes me
Yeah.
think of like you ever seen Street Trash?
Yes, yes.
Remember, like movies like that. Like none of those movies. You'll never see movies like that. I know. I think Street Trash was what they made a sequel to that
Uh,
now or a remake. There's something
don't
they made.
remember.
Some they made did make a new Street Trash. I think, um, which I don't know how it is, but I've heard it's not bad. But it's just you're never going to see movies like this anymore. which is kind of, it's sad.
No. And I think back to like my teenage years. Now, I wasn't rich, didn't grow up rich, but
Hmm.
still, I was able to go to the cinema once a week. I was
Hmm.
able to rent movies every weekend. The amount of movies I've watched over, I've lost count. And it's funny when I go to review something to realize I've actually watched it. I don't think I have. Um, the variety as well for the 80s was unreal.
Hmm.
There's just a variety of movies. Like these are its own little universe, but they're only a drop in the ocean compared, for movies that have come out.
Did you notice too, like, getting back to Frankenhooker, there's the scene where I'm not going to try to ruin it too much, but there's a scene where Zorro comes in and he gets attacked by his ex ladies that are like body parts now.
They've now become because the
Yeah, they
pink
become like yeah, they
glue
become like
and
morphed together.
yep.
Do you notice that one of them kind of looked like Belial from Basket
I
Case a
saw
little
it.
bit?
And
Yeah, and I
I just saw the puppet effects and all, but it makes sense. He's got the same team on board. He's
mhm,
got the same sort of vision.
mhm,
So that's if you draw or sculpt or write a certain way, you've got a voice, and of course that's going to
mhm.
translate into the sculptures.
And I swear, maybe and I watched the movie 2 times this week before we sat down,
Hmm.
and I swear there was a scene where you see, what's his name from Basket Case, you see him with the basket on the subway, but I
Did
didn't
they?
see that this time. But I swear he was on in there. But
Do
maybe
you know
I'm
what?
thinking of
There's
something
every
else.
chance
Maybe
they did.
maybe it was Brain Damage he was in, but I
Mm.
swear there's a scene where he is on the subway and you see him with a basket.
No, there's no subway. Is there a subway scene in this?
There was one subway scene where the girl,
Oh, she
when
goes
she
onto
first
the
escapes,
onto the
yeah.
train.
But I must be thinking of some other movie then because I swear
It
that
wasn't
there
that
were
long.
yeah, it was a short scene.
Yeah, it
Maybe
wouldn't
I'm
surprise
thinking
me
of
if we
Brain
little Easter
Damage.
eggs in.
Yeah. Maybe it was Brain Damage I'm thinking of that had
Mhm.
him in it. But I swear there was a scene where they had Belial and I can always forget what his brother's name is in Basket
Well,
Case. But,
God, it's been a while, but
yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that.
plus when you review like umpteen
Yeah.
movies
But
a week,
I
it all kind of gets a bit blurred.
what
But
type of rating would you give Frankenhooker, you think, if you were gonna give it like I usually give skull ratings, what would you
right,
give Frankenhooker?
out of what
Say
are
out
we
of 5.
out of five?
Yeah.
It might sound cheesy, but it's a solid five. Like, there's nothing I don't like about this movie.
Yeah. I give
There's
it a
no
5. I
cast
mean,
member I don't like. There's no
mhm.
special effect I don't like in this movie. Plus, you can probably tell I've got a cheesy grin. Just even thinking about this movie makes me happy.
Yeah.
And that's not that often that a
Yeah.
movie does that. Just makes me genuinely the most recent one that came out that makes me feel that way is Renfield. Just that
I gotta
giddy happiness, that oh, I'm really enjoying myself, and everybody wants me to enjoy myself, and I'm on board. That's what this movie is. It's just fun.
all right, my friend, thanks for, sitting with me. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, The Horford Podcast, definitely check it out and send a subscribe his way too. Thanks for checking out today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please tap that like button. And thank you to Colin from the Horrific Podcast for joining me today. Be sure to check out his channel. He has a lot of great content on there. Until next time, my friends, stay away from hookers. Bye bye.